The medbay lights were soft and white, humming quietly in the background. Alien nurse Lyra stood by the healing pod, her fingers gently checking the scanner. She had seen many strange creatures in her years as a nurse on the galactic station blue-scaled. Beings, six-legged lizards, gas-based lifeforms, but never a real human. This was her first time. The human male was unconscious, breathing steadily. His skin looked soft, pale, and warm, so different from most aliens. He had been found after a ship crash on the edge of the Zarn Belt. According to the report, he was not injured badly, just dehydrated and unconscious. Still, Lyra had strict orders to monitor him closely. She studied his face. His hair was short and dark, with a bit of a beard along his jaw. His chest slowly rose and fell under the blanket. "So this is a human," she whispered to herself. "Smaller than I expected." Lyra tapped her scanner. All his vitals were strong. No internal bleeding. No damage to the heart or lungs. She felt relieved. So far, this was an easy case. But then, something happened. The scanner began to beep. Softly, then faster. The vitals were still normal, but another reading caught her attention. Temperature in the lower body was rising. There was swelling, growth in the pelvic region. Lyra's eyes narrowed. "That's strange," she said. She leaned in, lifting the sheet just slightly to make sure the scanner wasn't broken. Her eyes widened. "Oh," she gasped, quickly pulling the sheet back and almost dropping her tablet. Her green skin darkened with embarrassment. What is that?" The human opened his eyes slowly. His voice was soft. "Hey, where am I?" Lyra took a step back, trying to calm her voice. "You are safe. This is Galactic Station 7. You crashed. You are being treated." The man blinked. "Oh. Okay, thanks." He looked around, then noticed her wide eyes. "Is something wrong?" Lyra's heart raced. She pointed to the scanner and whispered, "There is unexpected swelling. Are you in pain?" The man followed her gaze and suddenly smiled. "Oh, no, I'm not in pain," she frowned. "But your body, it's reacting strangely. Your lower region is growing." The man covered his face with one hand and chuckled. Yeah, that's totally normal. It's just a human thing." Lyra stared at him, completely confused. "A human thing? Is it an infection? Is it dangerous? Should I call the chief medic?" He shook his head, still smiling. "Please don't. It's natural. You guys really don't have this?" She turned red-green now, her skin showing every bit of confusion. "No, we don't. Our bodies do not react like that." He laughed gently. "It's okay. You're doing fine. Just maybe turn off the body heater next time." Lyra looked down at her scanner. Yes, the thermal pad was still on. She turned it off quickly, trying to act normal. "I see, so it goes down on its own?" He nodded. "Yes, eventually." She stood in silence for a moment, not knowing what to say. Her training had never prepared her for this. She had learned about alien viruses, emergency surgeries, bone reconstruction, but not about that. He looked at her again. "You must be new to humans." She nodded. "Yes, you are my first." "Well," he said, grinning, "I hope I didn't scare you too much." Lyra looked away, just surprised. They both laughed a little. It broke the awkward air in the room. Lyra finally took a deep breath. "Your vitals are stable. You'll be fine." "Thanks," he said, relaxing back into the bed. "What's your name?" "Lyra. I'm Cade," he said. "Nice to meet you, Nurse Lyra." She gave a small nod. "Rest now, human Cade. I will study more about your kind." As she walked out of the room, still flustered, she whispered under her breath, "I need a new chapter in the medical book, titled Strange Human Reactions." And back in the room, Cade smiled to himself. Lyra couldn't stop thinking about what had just happened. The image of the human's reaction kept flashing in her mind, and she wasn't sure if she was embarrassed, confused, or just curious. Her face still held a warm flush as she walked through the medbay hallway, gripping her scanner tighter than usual. She entered the small lab beside the recovery room. The station's auto-recording had already logged everything from the scan: increased body heat, unexpected tissue growth, and rapid pulse. Lyra stared at the graphs. "This should be studied," she muttered. The door opened behind her, and her friend, a fellow nurse with soft orange skin and 3 eyes, walked in. "Lyra, you look like you touched a live wire." "What happened?" Lyra turned slowly. "I had a reaction in my patient." "A human?" The friend blinked. "Reaction? Infection? Seizure?" Lyra hesitated. "No, not a dangerous one. Lower body inflammation. Sudden, strong. But he said it's normal." The orange nurse raised an eyebrow. "Normal? For humans? That doesn't sound normal." "That's what I thought," Lyra said, tapping the screen. "But he wasn't in pain." He laughed. "He said it just happens." Her friend leaned over the data. "Strange. It looks like the start of a severe infection, but there's no toxin, no cell damage, no fever." "Exactly," Lyra replied. "Just heat and expansion." Back in the patient room, Cade the human was still lying down, now reading from a tiny holoscreen left beside him. He was comfortable, too comfortable for someone recovering from a crash. Every now and then, he smiled to himself. He could hear soft footsteps outside. He knew the alien nurse was still nearby, probably running tests on her scanner in full panic mode. He chuckled and whispered, "They really don't teach you this in med school, huh?" A few hours later, Lyra returned to his room, calmer this time, but with a datapad full of questions. "I need to ask you something," she said, standing by the bed. Cade sat up slightly. "Let me guess. You read the charts and now you're wondering why humans are built so weird." Lyra blinked. "Yes," he smiled. "Well, you're not wrong. Humans are full of surprises." She hesitated. "Do all human males react like that, randomly?" He shrugged. "Not randomly. It can happen from body heat, movement, or even just waking up. It's not a sickness, it's just biology. Do you feel pain during it?" She asked, her eyes serious. "No, maybe awkwardness, but no pain. It's completely harmless." She tapped her pad. "Why does it exist then?" He smirked. "Let's just say it has something to do with reproduction." Lyra's eyes widened. "That's a mating signal." Cade laughed out loud. "Well, I guess you could call it that." Now Lyra was speechless. She stared at him, then at her pad, then back at him. "That wasn't in the biology file." "I'm not surprised," Cade replied. "Most alien species don't cover human awkward zones. They like to pretend we're simple." She looked flustered. "We need to update the file. This could prevent future alarms." Cade nodded. "Good idea. Maybe call the section Warning. He might rise without warning." Lyra covered her mouth, trying not to laugh. She failed. A small giggle escaped, and she quickly looked away, embarrassed again. "Thank you for explaining," she said softly. "I won't panic next time." "Don't worry," Cade replied. "You handled it better than most. My old school nurse fainted once." "You're joking." "Not at all." She gave him a curious look, then walked away, whispering to herself. "Humans are not dangerous, but they are definitely unpredictable." In her next report, she marked the condition as non-life-threatening male reaction, human-specific. She attached a note: "Further observation may be required, preferably from a safe distance." Later that day, Lyra's shift was supposed to end. She had already logged her report, sanitized her tools, and was preparing to leave. But the moment she stepped out of the room, a high-pitched alarm echoed through the medbay. "Critical response alert, Sector 4B, the AI voice shouted. Lyra froze. That was her patient's room. She rushed back in, nearly slipping on the smooth floor. The room lights had turned red. Medical drones buzzed above the bed, and her patient, the human, looked just as shocked as she was. What happened? She asked, running to the bed. Cade raised his hands. I swear I didn't touch anything. One of the drones floated toward Lyra and spoke. Body temperature spike detected. Unusual pressure in lower abdomen. Emergency flagged for biohazard swelling. Lyra's eyes widened. She looked at Cade, then the scanner. It was happening again. But stronger this time. Oh no, she whispered. It's another one. The door slammed open. Chief Medic Truvar, a large, multi-tentacled alien with glowing eyes, entered the room. Why is there a hazard alert in a stable patient room? Truvar demanded. Lyra tried to explain, her words stumbling. Sir, it's not an infection, it's a reaction, I think. A human reaction. It's involuntary. Truvar glared at the drone, then the scan. Is this organ going to burst? Cade sat up. No. It's normal. Stop acting like I'm a time bomb. Truvar narrowed his eyes. Explain. Now. Lyra took a deep breath. It's part of their reproductive biology. It triggers randomly in males. It's not dangerous, just awkward, Truvar blinked. It's an arousal response? Yes, Lyra said, her voice barely above a whisper. Truvar leaned back. Why wasn't this in the database? Cade smiled nervously. Maybe your files skipped human chapter 18, natural morning surprises. The entire room went silent. Then one of the junior staff burst out laughing. Truvar didn't laugh, but his many eyes blinked in disbelief. Turn off the alarm. Cancel the emergency. The red lights faded. The drones returned to their docks. Lyra stood still, half relieved, half horrified. Her first emergency. Over something so simple. Truvar looked at Lyra. Update our protocols. No more red alerts for swelling unless it's leaking plasma. Yes, sir, she said that before leaving. Truvar turned to Cade. Next time, control your body better. Cade replied, trust me, if I could, I would. As the room returned to normal, Lyra sat down in the corner chair, her hands still shaking. I nearly started a station-wide quarantine, she muttered. Cade looked over. Well, at least I'm memorable, right? She gave him a tired look. You're not just memorable. You're dangerous to my career, Cade grinned. I'll try to behave, Lyra sighed. I don't think humans ever behave. She leaned back and looked at him again. There was something different now, not just confusion or embarrassment. Something softer. She was starting to understand his kind, different, odd, emotionally chaotic, but maybe. Not bad. She tapped. Her scanner again opened a new file and titled it, Human Male Emergency Reactions, Level 0 Threat, Extreme Disruption Potential. Asterisk. The next morning, Lyra sat quietly in the observation lounge, staring out at the swirling stars beyond the station. A mug of blue herbal tea steamed in her hands, untouched. Her shift didn't start for another hour, but her mind hadn't stopped racing since the incident. The alarm, the drones, the chief medic's reaction. All over a natural part of human biology. She felt embarrassed, yes, but also a little betrayed by her own training. Why hadn't anyone warned her that humans could behave like this? She opened her medical tablet and began searching again. This time, she bypassed the Galactic Medical Database and accessed an archived Earth Health file. Her eyes widened as she scrolled through ancient records. Spontaneous physiological arousal. Triggered by emotion, body contact, warmth, or even dreams. Lyra blinked. Dreams? So it could happen even when they're unconscious? She nearly dropped the tablet when the door behind her slid open. It was Cade. Morning, he said, walking in slowly. He wore a light hospital tunic now, clean and simple, his movements still a little stiff but stronger than yesterday. You're up early, Lyra said, sitting straighter. I couldn't sleep, he replied, then added with a small grin. Too afraid the medbay would start another fire drill if my body reacted again. Lyra looked down, face flushing green again. It was a misunderstanding. Cade sat beside her, looking out at the stars. You know, it's not your fault. I imagine treating a species like mine isn't easy. She nodded slowly. Your biology is unpredictable, emotional, sensitive. That's one way to describe it, he chuckled. Then, more seriously, he said, but humans, we aren't just strange in body. We're strange in heart too. Lyra turned to look at him. He continued, most species I've met out here talk in facts, logic, numbers. Humans, we talk in feelings, instincts, and sometimes very bad decisions. Lyra's eyes softened. You think your emotions are a strength? Sometimes, he replied. Sometimes they get us in trouble. But sometimes they help us connect in ways logic never could. She sat silently, absorbing his words. There was truth in them. She had always followed protocol, charts, scans, routines. She had never questioned the rules, until now. Cade broke the silence. Lyra, why did you choose to be a nurse? She blinked. No one had asked her that before. Because I wanted to fix what others could not. My species believes in restoring balance. I wanted to be the one who healed, not destroyed. He smiled. That's a good reason. She looked at him curiously. And you? Why were you near the Zarn belt? Your ship didn't have proper markings. He looked away for a second, hesitant. Let's just say, I was trying to escape something. Or maybe I was running towards something better. Trouble? Always, he grinned. Before she could ask more, her tablet beeped. She glanced down. It was a message from the chief medic. Patient number 427. Human, cleared for light duty. Further observation optional. She turned to Cade. You're free to leave your room. No more scans, no more awkward alarms. He stretched slightly. Good, but I think I'll stick close. This station might be the most exciting place I've been. She rolled her eyes playfully. Just don't break anything. Especially not yourself. I'll try, he said, then added. Unless it's your rules I'm breaking. She gave a small smile, the kind that was rare for her species. Careful, that might cause another emergency. They both laughed, and just like that, a misunderstanding between two species became the start of something different. Later that evening, Lyra returned to the medical garden, a quiet area on the upper deck where bioplants from dozens of worlds grew under artificial sunlight. She didn't expect anyone else there. It was her favorite place to think, but someone was already sitting on the bench under the glowing tree. Cade. He looked peaceful, watching the leaves sway above him. When he noticed her, he smiled. Looks like we both had the same idea. Lyra hesitated, then nodded. It's the only place where the walls don't beep at me. She sat beside him. They didn't speak for a moment. Just quiet, the kind of silence that didn't feel awkward anymore. Then Cade turned slightly. I've been thinking. You probably still have questions. Lyra didn't answer, but she tilted her head slightly, inviting him to speak. Cade took a breath. You know, back on Earth, people don't talk about those things much. It's considered private. Embarrassing even. Lyra frowned softly. But how can your kind grow if you hide parts of your biology? He chuckled. Good question. I think it's because we mix emotion with biology. Everything gets personal, complicated. You make science emotional? She asked, surprised. Sometimes, he said. Like love. It's not just a chemical reaction to us. It's pain, hope, madness. And something beautiful too. Lyra blinked slowly. We have bonding rituals, but they are logical. Genetic compatibility. Lifespan alignment. Agreement contracts. He looked at her. No love? Not like that, she said quietly. Cade leaned back against the tree. Maybe that's why humans keep messing up. But maybe it's also why we keep going. Lyra studied his face. There was no fear in his eyes, no embarrassment. Just honesty. And that honesty made her curious. Is that why your body reacted? During rest, he smiled, a little awkward this time. It's possible. I mean, I was dreaming. Lyra turned to him slowly. About me? Cade looked surprised, then thoughtful. I don't know. I was warm, safe, heard someone's voice. Maybe it was yours. Her breath caught slightly, not from fear. Not confusion. Something else. She looked down at her hands. You're kind, you feel fast. Cade grinned. And yours feels slow, I guess. She nodded. We take cycles to bond. Tests, reviews, approval. That sounds exhausting. Lyra laughed softly, then caught herself. That was ... not professional. He smiled. It was nice. The silence between them now had meaning. Lyra looked at him carefully. Are you trying to confuse me again? No, Cade said. Just trying to understand you, like you're trying to understand me. She tilted her head. What if we fail? Then we try again, he said gently. For the first time, Lyra didn't see Cade as a patient, or a science project, or even a danger. She saw him as ... someone strange, emotional, unpredictable, but full of life. She stood up slowly. It is my duty to learn about all species in my care. I think you are my most complex case. He stood too. And you're the best nurse I've had. Even if you nearly called a biohazard team on me. She narrowed her eyes. Don't remind me. They both smiled, then walked back toward the corridor side by side. Lyra's log that night read, human. Emotional patterns linked deeply to biology. Reactions vary, not only by physical condition, but by mental state, dreams, and warmth. Fascinating. Possibly contagious. Asterisk 2 days passed on Galactic Station 7. The medbay was quiet, and most patients had been discharged or transferred. But Cade the human chose to stay longer, even though he was cleared to leave. When asked why, he simply replied, I think I need more observation. Lyra didn't argue. She told herself it was her duty to keep studying human behavior. But deep down, she knew it was more than that. She found herself looking for excuses to visit his room, bringing extra water, asking silly follow-up questions, even checking his temperature twice, just to make sure. Cade noticed, of course. He smiled each time but never said anything. That afternoon, a new patient was brought in, a large insectoid alien named Vrek, 8 limbs, mandibles, sharp claws. He had crash-landed in a mining ship and was angry, confused, and loud. Lyra helped transport him into the isolation room. He growled in his own language. The translator device failed halfway through. He's aggressive, said one of the medbots. He's scared, Lyra replied. We need to keep him calm. As she tried to place a calming patch on Vrek's shoulder, he swung one of his arms wildly. The patch flew across the room. Suddenly, Vrek grabbed Lyra's wrist hard. Her eyes widened. She didn't scream. She stayed still, but her other hand slowly reached for the alert button. Then Cade ran in. He didn't stop to think. Didn't wait for security. He saw the alien holding Lyra, her arm twisted in an awkward angle, and he moved, fast. Let her go. Cade shouted. Vrek turned and hissed. Cade didn't care. He picked up a metal tray and slammed it into the table, making a sharp noise. The sound startled Vrek. The alien flinched, released Lyra's arm, and stepped back. Lyra stumbled, caught herself, and looked at Cade. His breathing was heavy, fists clenched. You okay? He asked, still watching the alien. I'm fine, she said, her voice soft. But why did you come here? Cade finally looked at her. I heard yelling. Then silence. That scared me more. She blinked. You rushed into a dangerous situation. For me? He smiled faintly. What can I say? You saved me first. She stared at him, unsure what to say. Her wrist still hurt, but her heart beat louder than the pain. Security entered seconds later and helped restrain Vrek. No one was hurt. But the report was clear. Civilian human interfered during an alien restraint protocol. Unusual bravery. Minor rule violation. No punishment recommended. That evening, Lyra sat beside Cade in the recovery room, this time not as nurse and patient, but as something closer. You know, she said softly, you could have been hurt. Cade shrugged. You could have been crushed by an 8-limbed bug. I think we're even. She looked down at her arm. It was bruised but healing. Then she looked at him. You don't act like other species. I don't think like them either, he replied. Humans, we react first when someone we care about is in danger. Lyra whispered. Care about? Cade didn't answer. He didn't need to. Her eyes softened. I am still studying human behavior. But I think I like this part. He smiled. There's more where that came from. She nodded slowly. I'm not afraid of surprises anymore. That night, her private log said, human reactions cannot be predicted by science alone. Emotion, instinct, and loyalty drive. Their actions even in danger. This is no longer just a study. It is a connection. 3 days had passed since the incident with the insectoid patient. Lyra's arm was healing well, thanks to advanced tissue gel. But something else had changed to something deeper. Cade had become more than just a patient. He was now part of her routine. Each morning, they shared silent moments in the garden. Each evening, they spoke about strange earth things, music, oceans, laughter, chocolate. Lyra listened with full focus, sometimes smiling, sometimes tilting her head in wonder. She found humans loud, odd, emotional, yes, but she no longer saw them as unstable. She saw them as alive. That evening, the station captain summoned Lyra to Kachil. Her quarters. The captain was tall, with translucent skin and a long neck. Her voice was calm but firm. Nurse Lyra, she said. We've received orders. The human patient Cade is to be returned to Earth Command. A shuttle will arrive. In the next cycle, Lyra's heart sank. So soon? Yes, the captain replied. He's healthy. No longer under your care. Lyra nodded slowly, hiding her emotions as best as she could. She walked back to the med bay. Cade was packing his small bag, just a few Earth belongings given by the station. You heard? He asked. She nodded. He looked at her for a moment, then smiled gently. I guess this is goodbye. She didn't answer right away. Her chest felt tight. You taught me many things, she finally said. More than my training ever did. Cade stepped closer. And you saved me. Not just my body. You helped me feel seen. In a galaxy that often sees humans as just noise. She looked up. You were never noise. They stood in silence. Then, for the first time, Lyra did something no one on her planet usually did. She reached out and gently held his hand, warm, soft, alive. You are not like any creature I've met, she whispered. Cade smiled. Neither are you. Suddenly, the announcement system buzzed. Transport shuttle arriving. Departure in 10 minutes. Cade sighed. Well, this is it. He picked up his bag, but before turning to leave, he paused. You know, Earth Command needs medics who understand alien biology. They're recruiting interspecies experts. People like you. Lyra blinked. You mean go with you? He nodded. If you want to study humans, what better place than Earth? She looked down, thinking, it's against protocol. I would need permission from the Council. But it's possible, he said. She looked into his eyes. If I come to Earth, I will not be just a nurse. I will be different. He leaned in slightly. Maybe different is good. Then he turned and walked slowly toward the docking bay. Lyra stood still, thinking, feeling. Then she tapped her wrist. Come. Captain, this is Nurse Lyra. requesting urgent reassignment papers. Destination, Earth. There was silence. Then the captain replied, approved. A few minutes later, Cade stood near the shuttle door, waiting. He looked once more toward the corridor, hoping, and then she appeared. Lyra, dressed in travel gear, her medical case slung over her shoulder. You didn't really think I'd let you cause another emergency without me, did you? She asked. Cade grinned. I was hoping. They entered the shuttle together, side by side, as the doors closed and the stars shifted outside the window. Lyra opened her medical log one last time on the station. She typed, final observation, humans are unpredictable, emotional, and chaotic. But they care, they protect, and they connect with a depth unmatched in the stars. I once feared what I didn't understand. Now I choose to follow it. And for the first time in her career, she didn't feel like a nurse, she felt human.